apparently, because of Norwich and Sheffield United both getting knocked out of the FA Cup, our 99-year record is safe for another season, where we were the last team to win the cup, having been promoted the season before, and that was in 1921 that we won the cup, having gone up.
Get in.
So something to celebrate.
Yeah. Well,
so you've got to celebrate. You've got to celebrate your wins where you can.
You have.
So just moving on then. So just a quick thing. I think, Daniel, you said, and we've all spoke about the fact that football is not the same. And you're watching now, rather than commentating on the home games, you're watching the games at home. So when you're watching it, do you watch it with a crowd or without the crowd? To fake noise or no
crowd
noise?
Effects. No, I hate the crowd effects. It's someone pressing a button, so they're responding. So it's always going to be 3 or 4 seconds behind. So no, I watch it without crowd effects.
Yeah.
Same with you, Andy. You watch it without the crowd effects?
Yeah, because I'm probably similar to you in a way, Steve. You're very familiar with the football environment, so you're familiar with people shouting a lot. I like to hear the players shouting and just trying to pick up on what they're saying. It's pretty interesting.
What about you, Stace?
All day long, I like listening to the players. I want to see who's vocal, who's not vocal, who's quiet player, who's really talking.
It was quite interesting, wasn't it, last week when we had that interview from Ben Haynes, who does the N17 live, and he was in the stadium, and he's just a fan basically, but he's been obviously given this opportunity to present this live show and that opportunity to be in the stadium for the match, and he can be sort of pitch side without the crowd noise. And he said he was surprised at how vocal Hugo is, and how much he constantly talks and when you speak to, or when you look at all the Twitterati that know everything about Spurs, they're all adamant that Hugo shouldn't be the skipper. He's clueless. He doesn't say a thing. He's far too passive. He doesn't say a word.
Spiggy's raised that. He raised the question on how long he thinks that Hugo's got left as captain.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I don't know, but I would say that if he's removed as captain, it won't be because his lack of leadership or his lack of voice on the pitch. It will be maybe that someone else is coming to the fore, and it may be they talked about now that Dier's had 2 good games. Dier's had 2 good games, and all of a sudden they're saying, well, obviously Dier is the man to take us forward.
Take a step back for a minute. Like 2 years ago, he lifted the World Cup, right? So Hugo is incredibly experienced now, and that rubs off on players. They will look at him and say, "This is the World Cup winner." Right? And he had a rush of blood to his head in the final. We don't know what happened there, but that experience, you can't buy that.
He's not going nowhere. Hugo will stay with saying he won't go anywhere. He'll be again our third choice goalkeeper all time, I think.
I think he gets a lot of criticism
as well, right?
Yeah.
I was going to say, I think he owes the club a bit of a debt as well. They stuck by him when he had his troubles, and
exactly. He's definitely the best keeper we've had for a very long time. The best keeper since Jennings, I think. So
better than Clements.
Probably Clements. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so that's quite a while.
He's come back. These last games, he's played really well. He has. He's been sharp on it. Reflexes really good again. His kicking drives me crazy, but
actually, I think the stats of his kicking isn't as bad as it looks sometimes. I think his style is just a bit awkward. He just doesn't look natural when he's kicking the ball, does he?
He's always left-footed kicking. Never his right foot looks terrible. Name me a Premiership goalkeeper that is comfortable. You'd never know any difference left foot, right foot.
Well, I can't really.
No.
I think most of them. I think some of them are actually, they're quite comfortable on both feet. they will go both feet. I can't remember. There are a few who know that if it goes onto their weaker foot, that they really are stuffed. Yeah. But Hugo will play right foot and left foot. He's dominant on his left foot, but he will play as well. From what I see and from what I recall, he'll play both sides. Anyway, shall we move on? So, Andy, you wanted to raise a question about VAR.
Yeah, that's right. So in the West Ham game, we obviously had a goal disallowed, and we had a goal by virtue of an own goal, which apparently Sky analysed for about 5 days afterwards that it was meant to be a handball. So VAR apparently missed this handball. So the point I'm making is that it's a bit of a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because you're, on one hand, you're having one thing taken away, one thing given to you, and you just have to wonder whether VAR is actually serving any purpose here, because they're trying to be so exact with it, but they're making mistakes. So if you're putting unforced errors into the whole decision process of VAR, is it worth it?
Yeah, but I would wonder if sorry, Daniel, I'll bring in a sec. I would wonder if VAR is making mistakes is because Sky are saying that it was a handball. Not VAR are saying it's a handball. VAR said it wasn't a handball. That's why they awarded it. But you'll always get this controversy, won't you? And you'll always get if Sky don't have something to talk about, then because I generally watch the game. Like at the end of the game, I turn it off. I'm not interested generally in what Graham Souness and Jamie Redknapp and all. I'm not interested in what they've got to say generally, and a lot of it will be a lot of like what you just said, where they're going to try and invent controversy. So I wouldn't say for me. I wouldn't say it's a double-edged sword. I'd say these media outlets have to invent something to talk about. Daniel, sorry, what were you going to say?
No, yeah, I was just going to chip in and say that I think VAR had to come in. I think the way it's been rolled out hasn't been successful. The delay or the length of time it takes is far too long. I think if you can't decide after 30 seconds, it's therefore not clear and obvious, therefore the game goes on. But I have to say, I do think both decisions against West Ham in that game were correct. It was offside, but the handball wasn't a handball because it's come off the defender. So my understanding is that if it strikes the hand of an attacker and then goes on to a teammate who scores, that's handball. If it comes off a defender, which it did.
I think it's something that's just going to rumble on forever, isn't it? People are going to get because originally I was very for VAR, but it's just kind of worn me away. It's eroded my trust in it because it has been a bit contentious, and as you say, the whole implementation of it has been a bit slow. So,
Have you watched any of the? I think they'll improve it next year. I think.
I hope so. I hope they do.
The referees are getting more involved, and they can look at the screens a bit more. Follow the J League in Australia, and I think we'll end up getting it right. I think it's got to be there. It's got to be there, and he was offside.
He was.
Have you watched any of the games, the old games that they've been playing, the replays of like Euro this and all those games, and there's decisions that are going on in those games, and you think, fuck's sake, VAR would have, these were the reasons why we were moaning about, the referees needing help and stuff like that. So I'm personally for it. Like you said, Stacey, I think, over a period of time, it'll refine it and it will get better. I just worry what these pundits will have to talk about once the system is improved and refined. Place like for sports like cricket and stuff like that, where they've got their review systems, and rugby where they've got their review systems, and they don't have these contentious things. They just take the decisions, it's referred, bang, it's done, decision given, and off they go. Whereas I think it seems to be something that's ingrained in our football society, that we want to moan about something irrespective of what the situation is, and don't just accept what's going on.
There was one game earlier this season, it was a home game, and I get the VAR replays on my monitor. It was Sheffield United, and we had a goal ruled out, right? Or they had the goal ruled out.
They had the goal ruled out.
And they drew two lines. The first line, to me, showed it was offside. The second line showed it was onside. And the one they broadcast on Match of the Day, etc., was the second one that showed it was onside, but they ruled it out. They actually did it twice. It was incredible.
Yeah.
And does it not? Would it not? From what I see, I don't have. Obviously, I have the same view as Andy and the general public, but it just seems to me that it depends on the angle of the camera at the time. There was a game that was on, I think, yesterday. There was a game that was on yesterday, and it was an offside decision. And the frame at which they show it, because they stop it, but the frame at which they show it, there's no way to tell whether he's the guy had already headed the ball forward for him to run onto.
That's right.
There's no way to know. They just freeze the frame, and you can see the ball, the guy heading it, but you can't tell whether he's hasn't connected yet. If he's already connected, and then they go, right, well, obviously he's offside. Look, that's the picture, but that could be a frame either side to decide whether he's actually offside.
Yeah, and of course,
the frame can change it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and they've already proved that I think we've covered this before, and I don't want to go over too much ground, but they've proved that the error tolerance is around about 6 centimetres. So because of changing backwards and forwards and whatever you're doing, so how can they be that exact anyway? When they're actually going down to the millimetre, it's kind of pointless. It doesn't make any sense.
That's not clear and obvious, is it?
No, exactly.
No, exactly. And as you said, I think, Daniel, just to sum up, as you said, if it's not something that could be decided in 30 seconds, then it's not clear and obvious, and we should be moving on.
Yeah.
Okay,
indeed.
so moving on. Stacey, you had a point about COVID changes and reduced capacities that you wanted to bring up.
Yeah, and how are we going to implement it when it does come back, and how can you do safe distancing with concourses? I just don't know how we're going to be able to open up grounds again, even obviously the new season when it starts. I'm a bit confused of how they're going to do it and how they can generate. Of course, clubs need to generate money.
The interesting thing is that they were talking about doing reduced capacity. So that's what I'd be interested in. Saying, right, well, we're going to open it up and it's going to be reduced capacity. Is it going to be on a points system? The fans with the highest points. Is it going to be on a ballot system? How do you decide who gets to go to those games each week?
I mean, obviously, there's been nothing official that's been said about this yet. It's just speculation. But what's going to be interesting is not so much who gets in; it's going to be how they get in. Where they get to be sitting.
Yeah.
But also, okay, you can control entrance. You can get block 1 to come in at one time, block 10 on the other side of the ground, etc. But coming out, everyone leaves at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. And how on earth do you control the actual transport to and from the game? That just sounds like a nightmare in itself. And what about if someone has a beer or they want to, I don't know, they want to go to the toilet during the game, you've got to walk past everybody. It's I don't know how that works. In fact, I can't even see us going back to the stadium this year. It's got to, at the earliest, it's got to be with some form of tracing and contact tracing.
Stacey, you can say you coming in?
No. I'm just like Andy. I think we're going to wait a long time before we can go back to the ground, which is
I think it's interesting. I think the points that you make about getting to and from the ground, it's almost as if the football authorities are saying, well, that's not our responsibility. What you do before and what you do after is not our responsibility. We don't really care, because they're sort of saying, right, well, we'll have reduced capacity. They're not taking into account, as you say, how people get there, how they leave. They have to be phased exits, I would assume. But if they have phased exits, most people are still going to be coming by train or whatever it means.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So away from the ground, they say, well, that's not our responsibility. So that's up to you to deal with. Which I personally think is kind of irresponsible, because if you're putting on a situation then you're creating an environment that makes people want to be